FIM Ice Speedway World Team Championship returns to Europe with indoor action at the Max Acher Arena in Inzell. It's Ice Speedway's World Cup with national pride on the line in the biggest team competition of the season. All 7 of the teams who participated in the 2016 World Team Championship return for the 39th staging of the competition. But with new lineups and the 2-day event back in Europe, hopes and expectations are much changed in 2017. It's an all-new lineup for Switzerland, who haven't made it out of 7th position since their return to the championship in 2015. Their top scorer from that season, Simon Gartman, returns this year, alongside former national champion Thomas Cavagelli and reigning title holder Ronnie Haring. For Switzerland, it's very important to take part in the World Team Championship. We know that we're a small nation and that we are the underdogs, but it's good that even a small country can compete. 2014 podium finishers Finland finished a disappointing 6th last season, but are back to full strength in 2017 with the return of Matt Jarve and Tommy Tani, alongside veteran Antti Akko. I personally haven't had as much practice this year, but as a whole the team is in good shape. It's great to have Antti in the team because he has the experience of this circuit, which is a very technical circuit with tight corners. This is my first time on this track. Germany reunite their 2015 trio with Stefan Pletschakar out injured, meaning Hans Weber is back in the lineup. The host nation will be keen to improve on the number 5 ranking that they've held for each of the last 3 seasons. It's very important that the 3 of us work together this year as a team, because things haven't worked properly in recent years. I'm a fighter, but I'm also a team player, and I hope it will be better this year. The last time that the Czech Republic took part in the team championship without Antonin Klotowski, they managed just 6th position. Following Antonin's retirement from the sport, they will be relying on a breakthrough performance for national champion Andrej Diviš. This year will be very hard because my brother Antonin isn't riding, and we have a young team that needs to learn a lot. The podium will be difficult, but everyone has a chance. Austria have finished runners-up in 6 of the last 10 years, and in the 2 most recent stagings of the World Team Championship in Europe, they finished within 2 points of winners Russia. The Austrian team is weakened in the absence of Manfred Siefter and Harald Simon, but they will still hope to challenge for the podium. Last year we were beaten by Sweden by a point, and their young riders are still improving. Germany and Finland also have a good chance, and of course we're without Harald, so I think it will be a tough fight. But Charlie is a capable replacement, and I think we can make the podium.
Schweden wird der Geheimtipp und die Deutschen sind auch konstant und nicht zu verachten. Also ich sage generell, die Podiums wird sehr hart gekämpft.
Injuries to Daniel Henderson and Jimmy Olsen forced Sweden to go back on their youth policy of recent years and bring 7 times national champion Stefan Svensson back into the lineup. The result is the strongest team for some years and genuine hope of taking the fight to the Russians. Stefan has been alongside us supporting our young team in recent years. The idea was for Jimmy to ride this weekend, but with his broken elbow, Stefan is in as reserve. The idea is that Ove and I take the majority of the rides, and he only appears if we're having a bad day. We don't expect the gold medal, but we will do our best and see where that takes us. Selecting the national team must be a constant headache for dominant force Russia, who haven't been beaten since 2002 and can easily build half a dozen different teams and still compete for honours. This year, legendary 8 times world champion Nikolai Krasnikov is overlooked, favour of the top three in the championship standings. I'm very happy that I can take part for the first time. Even though the Russian team is very strong, every race is difficult, and we remember a few years ago in Sanok we had a lot of resistance. The gold medal will depend on teamwork, and we've been working on tactics during practice. The 2017 FIM Ice Speedway World Team Championship also marks the 50th season of Inzell's organising motor club. The Max Acre Arena itself is a modern construction that brought Ice Speedway indoors in 2011, but the Ice Stadion Inzell that formerly stood on the site has been a regular part of the world calendar since 1969. Generations of passionate and knowledgeable German fans would be hoping for a home miracle in the 6th edition of the Team Championship to be staged in the venue. The lineup's in full, all changed for Switzerland with their 2016 duo replaced. Finland reunite their bronze medal winning 2014 team. Jan Klatowski is the only rider with World Championship experience for the Czech Republic. The top three in the world for 34 times champions Russia. Günther Bauer leads host nation Germany. Stefan Svensson makes his return to the lineup 15 years after his and Sweden's last gold medal. Josef Kreuzberger is the last-minute replacement for the injured Harold Simon. The opening race of the weekend saw arguably two of the weakest teams in the championship go head-to-head, and also ran Switzerland duly suffer a 5-1 reversal. Finland's Mats Jarf, the standout star of their bronze medal success in 2014, made his return to the competition with an opening race victory. And the team's 2015 top scorer Tommy Tani quickly settled in to second position after passing the Swiss pair around the outside on the first two turns. The 2015 Czech reserve Lukas Hutler rejoined his national team in the absence of Antonin Klatowski for 2017, and full debuts don't come much harder than facing the reigning champions in your opening heat. Russia gave each of their riders 4 outings as they shared the programme on the opening day, and it was Igor Kononov and Dmitry Kometsevich who took a maximum heat advantage in Heat 2. Senior Czech Jan Klatowski took the single points at the expense of teammate Hutler, who fell on the final bend and failed to score. The battle for second position provided the most interesting heat on the opening day in Germany. Matchups between the hosts, Sweden and Austria, as expected, the most closely fought. Home hero Günther Bauer may have been lined up as a reserve, but against the Swedes he was swiftly brought in off the inside gate for Heat 3. And the national captain, who led Germany to their last medal success at Inzell back in 2009, duly jetted from the tapes to take victory. The hosts had a perfect opportunity to take a commanding advantage over one of their main rivals, with Max Niedermayer passing Ove Ledstrom on lap 2. But Niedermayer then fell on the top turn, gifting Sweden a lucky escape and a shared heat. With Manfred Siefter and Harold Simon both ruled out injured, Charlie Ebner Jr. made his World Team Championship debut after appearing as a non-riding reserve back in 2015. And it was a predictably successful start for the youngster, as Austria comfortably got the better of Switzerland. The Swiss were fortunate to be granted a 4-rider restaging of Heat 4 after captain Ronnie Haring caught the back of Charlie Ebner, but it made little difference to the result. In the restaging, Thomas Cavagelli took his captain's place, and Austria joined Russia and Finland on 5 points from their opening rides. Finland and the Czech Republic were expected to challenge for 5th position, so their meeting in the opening round provided an early indication of the respective team strengths. As they had in their opening appearance, the Finns hit the front coming off turn 2, but Jan Kwiatkowski immediately split the pairing and throughout the opening 2 laps then challenged for the lead. The Czech pushed hard, but the top 2 were evenly matched inside and out, and it took a lap 3 fall for Tommy Tarni to break the deadlock. With Finland now down to 1 rider for the restaging, the odds were stacked in favour of the Czech Republic. Jan Kwiatkowski did the work on the inside around the opening 2 turns to cut past Matt Jarf, who was curiously off the pace. Rookie Andrej Diviš surprised the Finnish captain heading into lap 3, making a perfect block pass for second and putting the Czechs into a 5-1 position. Jarf found his way back through a lap later, enabling Finland to remain above the Czech Republic in the meeting standings, but still conceding a 4-2 race advantage in Heat 5. Germany's weekend opened with their 3 toughest races: Sweden, Russia and Austria. So after notching a shared result in Heat 3, picking up further points in Heat 6 could only be considered a bonus against the world's top trio. But the Germans were beaten from the start against Kononov and Kolchakov of Russia, Hans Weber not even moving from the tapes with a mechanical failure, and Max Niedermayer unable to challenge. After meeting Germany in Heat 3, Sweden's second round 1 heat saw them line up against their other podium challengers, Austria. Franz Zorn and Charlie Ebner came into the heat with an eye on Russia, with both teams having picked up 5 points from their first outing, but the Austrians were unable to match the meeting leaders. If anything, though, they performed better than expected, with Charlie Ebner surprisingly getting the better of a subdued Ove Ledstrom and even challenging Niklas Svensson in the closing stages. The 4-2 result in favour of Austria brought them back to within a point of leaders Russia at the end of the opening round, with Sweden moving above Germany and into 4th. Finland appeared out of position as the draw pitched them first against Switzerland, while Austria were looking strongest in the battle for the podium after a 4-2 over Sweden, who had previously drawn Heat 3 with Germany. The Czech Republic moved joint top of the point standings after extracting the expected maximum result over Switzerland in Heat 8. The result was a 5th 5-1 in the opening 8 races, demonstrating clear differences between the teams right from the start of the meeting. But the Czechs had to work far harder for points against the Swiss than either Finland or Austria had in the opening round, with Simon Gartman enjoying his best ride of the day and keeping them under pressure. Czech captain Jan Kwiatkowski played a perfect team-riding role by slotting in behind teammate Andrej Diviš and blocking out Gartman, with the top 3 separated by less than 1/10 of a second at the checkered flag. After facing their 2 weakest rivals in round 1, Finland had a much tougher time in round 2 against Russia and then Germany. In Heat 9, the Finns were blown away by the exit of turn 2, Dmitry Kolchakov making a successful second appearance of the weekend, and Igor Kononov recording a second consecutive victory. After taking an advantage over Sweden in Heat 7, the most important of Austria's remaining heats was against Germany in Heat 10. The hosts returned Günther Bauer to the track after resting him against Russia, but despite the veteran taking the inside start position, he was unable to challenge Franz Zorn, who took a third victory of the day. With Charlie Ebner, though, relegated to the back by Max Niedermayer, the result was a second shared heat of the day for Germany. Heat 11 should have been a straightforward maximum for Sweden, but turned into a disaster for father and son duo Niklas and Stefan Svensson. Svensson Sr. came into the lineup after a disappointing start for the youngest rider in the field, Ove Ledstrom, who'd managed just a single point from 2 outings. And the veterans seemed set to steady the ship with a comfortable race lead. The Swiss team in line for a 4th race without defeating an opponent. But Niklas Svensson's bike let go at the end of the 2nd lap, so although Stefan was within 100 metres of lapping Ronnie Howring, Switzerland extracted a shared heat. 2 drop points for Sweden, the more relevant outcome of the race. With their 3 hardest races out of the way, Germany set about banking points and recovering a 3-point deficit to the podium places in their remaining 3 outings. Heat 12 saw the 5th and 6th place teams meet, with Finland a point ahead of the host nation's competitors after their opening race 5-1. But Germany began to turn their day around with their first maximum result of the afternoon. Reserve substitution Antti Akko doing no more to boost Finland's fortunes than Matt Jarf in the Finnish captain's 2 previous rides. Günther Bauer moved on to a tally of 8 points from 3 outings, with Max Niedermayer enjoying his first top 2 finish of the day behind him. Races involving Jan Klusovski provided all of the entertainment for the rest of the day, the Czech giving it everything in his pursuit of points for his country and creating plenty of overtaking along the way. Sweden lined up against the Czech Republic in Heat 13, desperate to take maximum points, with Austria and Germany still yet to meet the same opposition. Niklas Svensson made the start for the podium challengers and attempted to cover Jan Klusovski's inside opening lap challenge while his father went up to the outside line. Klusovski, though, was wise to the move and cut back off turn 4 to snatch the lead. Still the fastest rider in the race, Niklas Svensson found his way quickly back through to 2nd, although he remained under pressure to the finish. Stefan Svensson was unable to find a way past Klusovski on the outside line and had to settle for 3rd, while the Czech closed in on Niklas up front and was only denied in a photo finish. Despite coming out 4-2 down in the heat, the result was a better one for the Czech Republic really than Sweden, with the podium positions tightening up and 4 teams brought level on 12. One of the teams tied for 2nd, a race from the end of round 2, was Austria, who lined up against point leaders Russia in Heat 14. The Russians were already 3 points clear of their nearest rivals coming into the heat, and after taking a comfortable 5-1, took a commanding 7-point lead. Franz Zorn briefly challenged reigning world champion Dmitry Kometsevich on the opening lap, but after that the Austrians were unable to offer any meaningful resistance, with Dmitry Kolzkov well clear for a 2nd race victory of the day. Austria's single-point score moved them a point clear in 2nd, and with the toughest race of the day out of the way. Russia only dropped 7 points in 2015 and 2016 put together, so with that margin already after just 2 rounds of heats, it was quite clear that they wouldn't be matched in Inzell, with the remaining podium challengers taking points from one another. Sweden were the only team to drop points to Switzerland on the opening day, which turned out to be crucial in their battle for the podium, particularly with Germany and Austria both comfortably taking the maximum 5 available points. Although an expected result, Germany's 5-1 over the Swiss in Heat 15 gave the home fans another excuse to cheer, with Günther Bauer taking a 3rd victory in 4 outings. On the back of 2 5-1 reversals, Finland again turned to Antti Akko as a substitute to replace Matt Jarf in Heat 16. But the result was the same, with this time Sweden getting the better of their Nordic competition. Niklas Svensson was first away for a 2nd consecutive win, with Stefan Svensson in tow to produce Sweden's only maximum return of the day. With Germany set to meet the Czech Republic later in the final round, their main rivals for second, Austria, hope to extract maximum points against the Czech pairing first in Heat 17. But the Austrian duo could only manage a 4-2, bringing themselves level on points with Sweden and Germany on 17 after one of the best races of the day. Things certainly went to plan for Austria on the first two turns, Andrej Diviš losing control and dropping to the back, and Charlie Ebner hitting the front. But while Franz Zorn attempted to draw alongside his teammate to consolidate the 5-1, Jan Klatowski cut through for second at the end of the opening lap. Zorn found his way back past and then commenced an audacious mission to hold back Klatowski's pace and protect his partner. But Ebner left too much room with an outside run on lap 3, and once Klatowski had broken past, there was little Zorn could do without endangering his lead position. Ebner, fired up after two non-scoring rides, dived back down the inside of Klatowski in the final lap and surprised the Czech by taking second and moving back into a provisional 5-1 position. But running wide to seal the move, Ebner left Klatowski the inside route into the final two turns, a well-crafted move showing all of his experience. With a 3-point lead and a ride in hand, Russia were now in complete control, and their round 3 appearances only served to underline the gap between the favourites and the aspirant chasing pack. Switzerland's captain Ronnie Haring finished a full 10 seconds back from winner Igor Kononov in Heat 18. With 3 heats remaining on the opening day, a 3-way tie persisted between Germany, Sweden and Austria on 17 points in second. Sweden had the tough task of taking on Russia, while Germany were due in Heat 20 against the Czechs, so Austria were looking for maximum points from Heat 19 against Finland. Charlie Ebner demonstrated the progress that earned him a place in the World Championship as a reserve in 2017, as he joined Franz Zorn up front for a 5-1. To recover points lost against Sweden earlier in the day, Germany needed to better Austria's 4-2 result against the Czech Republic with a 5-1 return in Heat 20. But Jan Klatowski made life as difficult for German captain Günther Bauer as he had for Franz Zorn in Heat 17 by cutting past the lead off turn 2. It took Bauer over a lap to build up his momentum and get back on terms with Klatowski, scything through to take the lead. Then the pressure was on Max Niedermayer, needing to come through from third to give Germany the 5-1 result and bring them level with Austria. Bidding for a third consecutive maximum return alongside Bauer, Niedermayer dived to the outside around the top bend on lap 3, Klatowski making a slight error on the inside and ceding the position. Germany had provided their best ride of the day, much to the delight of the home fans. Sweden are one of only 2 teams to have taken points from Russia in the last 2 editions of the World Team Championship, but the Russians were clearly on top form in Inzell, and the Swedes ended the opening day in just 4th. Unbeaten in 6 rides, Russia kept their 8-point advantage intact and were already well on their way to a 35th world title. Dropped points against the Czech Republic and Switzerland cost Sweden compared to their main rivals Germany and Austria, who sat 8 behind Russia at the halfway mark in the 2017 title race. I've only just found out that we're on the same points as Austria for the second and third places, and I'm really happy with that result. Our day was almost perfect for the home fans. We just had a little bit of bad luck in our first ride with Max's fall, but after that we were really strong. Hopefully more of the same tomorrow. It was a really good experience for me, and we have had some really good results in our first day. But there are still lots of heats and lots of points available.
Aber im Ganzen und Großen bin ich zufrieden. Der Lauf mit Kladowski, da habe ich einen Punkt mehr oder weniger hergeben. Da hätte ich mir mehr erwartet. Aber ist so, morgen ist ein anderer Tag.
Today was a great day for our team because we won every heat. I would like to say thank you to my teammates, mechanics and the team manager. Tomorrow we will give our all to keep up our maximum and win the World Championship.
Будем стараться завтра набрать полный комплект, чтобы стать самыми сильными в мире.
Only 3 teams have ever won the FIM Ice Speedway World Team Championship, led by the dominant Russians who lifted the first ever trophy in 1979 and have only been beaten on 3 occasions since. The first team to change the pecking order was Germany in 1983, and since then only Sweden have been able to deny the Russians gold. In recent seasons, both teams have been rebuilding through their youth in the hope of one day being able to return to top spots. The German team has a great history in the World Team Championship, especially in Inzell, and I think the time has come for us to fight again for the medals. In recent seasons, the Swedish and Austrian teams have been stronger than ours because we have often only had one strong rider, and in a team competition you need either 2 or 3 good riders, like the Russians.
Natürlich ist es schon für jeden Fahrer schön, wenn mal eine Medaille gewinnt.
I think the situation in Germany compared, for example, to Sweden is completely different. They have their own league system and young riders coming through, but we only really have my son Luca, who is under 25 and still improving. I hope that he will be able to lead the team in the future like I have. I don't know how much longer I will go on in the World Team Championship. My dream was to ride this season here with Luca, but he isn't quite ready yet. If he's ready next year, I think I can extend my career 1 year more to ride with him.
Ich könnte mir vorstellen, dass es mit dem Team für mich bald zu Ende geht. Außer Luca ist dann soweit, dann würde ich mir es nochmal überlegen, noch einmal mit ihm in der Team zu fahren.
Meanwhile, Sweden's legendary duo of Per-Olof Serenius and Stefan Svensson, who between them have been involved in all 3 of the country's successes over 3 decades, have gradually been phased out in recent seasons. Serenius and Svensson were last named together in 2012, and Serenius celebrated his farewell earlier this year. Svensson, meanwhile, has been omitted from the Swedish team for each of the last 2 seasons. For many years I raced alongside poser Serenius, but now I am pleased that many young riders are coming through, particularly from my own club. There are a lot of new names that you will hear about next year, and there will probably only be young riders representing Sweden from now on. I was very happy with the results of the Swedish Championship this year, with Niklas taking the title and me in the silver medal position, a very unique situation. But I'm happy to see new names coming through, regardless of whether it's Niklas or someone else.
I publiken, de vill ju se nya namn, de vill inte se de där gamla.
Despite the best efforts of captain Jan Klosowski, the Czech Republic arrived into the second day in Inzell 7 points back from the podium positions and 3 behind Sweden in 5th. The Czech team is very inexperienced. Lucas and Andrej are young lads who haven't ridden much this season. The World Team Championship is very hard for them. Many strong teams. Sweden, Austria, Germany, and Russia are in another world. But I've been trying very hard to fight for every point. Sweden were the other team with ground to make up after a disappointing day of mechanical problems and dropped points against Austria and the Czech Republic that left them 4 points back from the podium places. We know the situation and that we are in 4th place, so today we can't afford any bike problems and we need to be really strong to make it back into the medal positions.
Nu måste vi verkligen göra vårt bästa för att försöka nå ikapp.
After sitting out 4 of his programmed heats on the opening day, Ove Ledström returned to the Swedish lineup and took part in each of the team's remaining outings. Heat 22 against Russia was hardly the right race to bed back in, but 3 of the nations used races against the favourites to rest one of their first-team riders. Such was their dominance on the way to the title. Russia's almost inevitable 5-1 left Sweden still 3 points down on Germany and Austria, and their rivals with a ride in hand. Germany had taken an important 5-1 over the Czech Republic on the opening day, and failure to do so again at the second time of asking gave Austria the upper hand in the battle for second. Just as on day 1, Germany looked set to open their programme with a maximum advantage, only for Max Niedermayer to fall and the result to be shared. Austria met 6th place Team Finland in Heat 24, taking a 5-1 to move 2 points clear of Germany in 2nd position. Franz Zorn took his 5th race victory of the weekend, extending his run as the event's top scorer. Russia continued their unbeaten run with an easy maximum against Switzerland. The Swiss moved back to 3 points from Finland, but it was quite clear that they would be reliant on incidents for other teams to move out of the table's basement position. The Russians at times looked as though they were chasing one another as much as the points needed for the title. Such was their leading margin in the meeting. With both Germany and Austria meeting the Czech Republic in the same round, Jan Klotowski had an unintended role to play in the battle for 2nd position. The German team had only managed a 3-all against the Czechs after a Max Niedermayer fall, and that gave Austria a major opportunity to move clear of their rivals. They looked set to capitalise with a maximum heat advantage, Jan Klotowski having to move past his own teammate on the opening lap before he could set after the lead duo. But Franz Zorn left the inexperienced Charlie Ebner exposed, and Klotowski nipped up the inside to take 2nd position, seemingly restricting Austria's points potential to 4. But there was another good stroke of fortune for Austria when Klotowski fell on lap 3, forcing a 3-rider restaging without the Czech Republic's strongest representative. The second attempt at the heat also provided its share of incident, with Charlie Ebner surprisingly kept at bay by Lukas Huttler until the Czech crashed spectacularly on lap 2, gifting Austria a 5-1 and the points needed to open their gap to Germany. Finland's Tommi Tani provided Sweden with a fright in Heat 27, popping out of the start to lead their duo of Niklas Svensson and Ove Ledström. Ledström, the star of the 2016 Team Championship, was the first to give pursuit, hitting the front down the inside into lap 2 and also making room for his teammate to come past into a 5-1 position. Sweden's maximum result moved them to within a point of Germany, but the hosts held a ride in hand. The last of the round 4 heat races saw Germany celebrate their 4th maximum return of the championship. Günther Bauer took his 6th victory of the weekend, leading home Max Niedermayer and bringing the hosts back to within 2 points of second-place team Austria. At the back, Thomas Cavagelli picked up his first points of the weekend for Switzerland, who remained 3 points behind Finland in the race for 6th. The battle for second position remained the closest, but the point situation had spread after the 4th round of heats, leaving Sweden 6 back from the podium and the Czech Republic 6 further in arrears. The fast starts that have characterised Franz Zorn's matchups with Russian riders in 2017 deserted him in 2 races against the reigning champions in the World Team Cup. Once Russia had taken a 5-1 against Austria for a second time, they looked likely to remain unbeaten, barring any mechanical issues. Zorn's single point moved Austria on to 33, Russia's closest rivals now 12 points back. Sweden sat 6 points down on Germany coming into the penultimate round of heats, but with rides in hand against 2 of the bottom 3 teams yet to come, while their main rivals for bronze were yet to face Russia. Keeping up pressure on the hosts, Ove Ledstrom and Niklas Svensson took a second successive 5-1. Jan Klatowski subdued after his opening ride fall. While Germany had an eye on Sweden chasing them behind, they also knew that taking maximum points against weaker opposition would be key to challenging Austria, with a direct meeting between the 2 teams taking place in the 5th round. Their 5-1 over Finland in Heat 31 was the 9th maximum in the day's 10 opening heats, surprises limited as the championship closed towards its climax. With races against Germany and Austria still to come, Sweden was still very much in contention for a podium place by the time they met Switzerland in Heat 32. In fact, 5 points against the outsiders moved them provisionally 3rd in the points, with Germany and Austria meeting next out in Heat 33. Germany came into their meeting with Austria 2 points up in the battle for silver, but needing to open a points buffer with meetings with Russia and Sweden still to come. To produce a heat advantage, Günther Bauer needed to get the better of Franz Zorn, whose only previous defeat had come at the hands of Russian representatives. And although he tried his utmost, the German captain was overhauled by his Austrian counterpart on lap 2, with Max Niedermayer running wide and picked off by Charlie Ebner at the back to compound the hosts' problems. Coming into Heat 34, Russia needed only 3 points to secure the 2017 World Team Championship. Igor Kononov and Dmitry Kometsevich was the selected partnership, lining up against Tommy Tani and Matt Jar for Finland. And without any fanfare or celebration, Russia notched 5 points to claim the title with 2 rides to spare. Behind the 3-way battle for second between Germany, Austria and Sweden, the 3 minor positions were left to be resolved in 4 races involving Switzerland, Finland and the Czech Republic. The Czechs sat a somewhat isolated 5th, 25 points behind Sweden and 4 points ahead of Finland with a ride in hand. Switzerland's Simon Gartmann threatened an upset with a fine start in Heat 35. Jan Klosowski squeezed out on the first 2 turns and only cutting through to lead on lap 2. The veteran's excellent pass not only moved him from 3rd to 1st, but also enabled him to hold back the best performing Swiss rider, helping Lukas Huttler through to 2nd around the outside at the half-race distance. The expected but hard-fought 5-1 gave the Czech Republic a 9-point advantage over Finland, with Switzerland 3 points further back at the foot of the standings. Austria and Germany now sat level on 37 points. Both teams set to meet Sweden in the final round, but Austria with the upper hand and a meeting with Switzerland to look forward to. Germany still yet to face Russia. Heats 36 and 40 were the focus of the final round. Decisive matchups between Sweden and their 2 main podium challengers, Austria and Germany. A fine ride from Niklas Svensson should have been enough for victory in Heat 36 after he cut past Franz Zorn and then held on into the final lap. And with Ove Ledstrom 3rd, a 4-2 advantage for Sweden would have propelled them above Germany and to within a point of Austria for 2nd. But Austria's Charlie Ebner went down whilst well tailed off at the back, and the referee ordered a restaging, giving Franz Zorn a 2nd opportunity to get the better of Svensson. Zorn made no mistake from the start, moving up to block the Swede on turn 2, but Svensson pursued throughout the opening lap, desperate to take a heat advantage and keep his country in the hunt. Instead, chasing the outside line from 2nd position, Svensson went down, costing Sweden a valuable point and leaving Austria 3 up on their nearest rivals in 2nd. With Austria now eyeing a meet-up with Switzerland and a probable finishing total of 45, Germany's pursuit of 2nd looked set to rely on salvaging an unlikely shared result from Heat 37 by becoming the first team to beat Russia. But despite the Russian team having sewn up the championship with 2 rides to spare, they were taking no prisoners in their remaining outings and continued their march towards a maximum score. Germany surprisingly elected to rest Günther Bauer for the team's penultimate race, and that almost proved an inspired move as Hans Weber proved Russia's closest challenger before he eventually dropped back in 3rd. Heat 38 produced a break from the battle for the podium, and the focus turned back to the battle for 5th. The Czech Republic only needed to provide a finisher in each of their 2 remaining heats to beat Finland, who needed to take a maximum 10 points from their remaining 2 outings to put their rivals under any pressure. But the race still produced a great deal of entertainment, thanks to a customary fast start from Antti Akko that had been all too rare during the weekend for the Finns. Jan Klosowski then set off in pursuit, finding his way alongside and through to take the lead. That would have been enough to end the race for 5th overall, but Klosowski's teammate Lukas Huttler tagged the barriers on the exit of bend 4 heading into the final lap, bringing them onto the circuit and forcing a restaging with his disqualification. And the second time of asking, Jan Klosowski again led into the final lap, with Antti Akko pursuing behind. But on the final 2 turns, keen to hold the inside and keep back the Finn, the Czech captain went down. And despite desperately trying to recover for the single point, he was disqualified for receiving assistance, his team leaving the race pointless and their gap over Finland narrowed to 4. After taking a slender advantage over Sweden in Heat 36, Austria only needed 4 points from their match-up with basement side Switzerland to secure the silver medal. Franz Zorn did his part with an 8th victory of the event, securing his status as the weekend's top scorer. And with Charlie Ebner tucked in behind, Austria secured the runner-up position for the 7th time in 10 years. That left only the silver medal to be resolved, Germany leading Sweden by 2 points heading into what was effectively a shootout to decide the final step of the podium in Heat 40. Sweden needed a 4-2 advantage to force a tiebreak or a 5-1 to deny Germany, but Günther Bauer held off Niklas Svensson after hitting the front on the opening lap to give the home fans something to celebrate in the Max Acher Arena. Germany's 3rd position is their best result since the 2009 staging of the World Team Championship in Inzell, when again they relied heavily on Günther Bauer. Bauer dropped just 2 points in 10 races during the weekend and was well deserving of the ovation he received from the home crowd. Following their Heat 38 collapse, the Czech Republic looked set to be matched on points by Finland in the final heat, unless they could pick up what would have been a shock 2 points against Russia. But instead, the newly re-crowned champions took their 12th 5-1 of the weekend, the top 3 riders in the world going unbeaten against each of their European rivals. The result of the penultimate heat produced some interest in Heat 42, with Finland looking for a second 5-point tally of the day to tie with the Czech Republic for 5th. With Antti Akko picking off Ronnie Haring coming off turn 2 and accelerating clear with Tommy Tani, the Finns had salvaged something from their weekend in their 2 final rides. One of Russia's most dominant displays, with a 15-point margin to their closest rivals, but an engaging battle for 2nd and 3rd positions provided the entertainment in the 2017 World Team Championship. The result is amazing for us. We've dreamed so many years of this medal, and now on my home ground, in what I call my living room, Inzell, we've returned to the podium. It's really hard for me to say how I feel right now. I'm so happy. A perfect day.
Es ist wirklich ein absoluter Traum für uns, dass wir die Medaille geholt haben. Und ich muss nochmal sagen, Max, das war echt super. Wir haben das toll gemacht. Ja, danke.
It has
been a great weekend for us. Yesterday we were tied with Germany, so today was a hard meeting. But of course we did it, and the silver medal goes back with us to Austria.
Am heutigen Tag wurde es entschieden und das Glück war auf unserer Seite. Wir haben alles gegeben und die Medaille geht zurück nach Österreich. Yes!
I'm very happy with the team. It's very unusual to be riding together with them rather than against them. And we're very happy to be the best in the world again. A memorable day for Germany, with a return to the podium in front of their home fans, and a successful weekend for Austria, despite the absence of Harald Simon. But untouchable Russia leave Inzell with a 15 straight win in the World Team Championship.
Ja.